What's going on, guys? So I am here with my bike, and basically the reason I'm making this video is I don't know if the angle is good enough or not. I think it's like slanted up too much. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. I think this should be enough. I cannot see, it's too dark for me, but I hope the video is not too dark. It's the angle I'm sitting at. Okay, now it's fixing itself. Look, so behind me you can see my bike. The reason I'm here is, and this is a football post, it doesn't have a net. So what I was going to do is I was going to find rocks and place them at certain distances, because I don't want to buy cones. I'm not a traffic instruction school or anything, so those won't serve me anything. So that's why I didn't buy. You can just use stones or whatever, markers basically. And the reason I'm doing this is I realized that I have not practiced. Usually you practice for like exams, you practice for almost everything. Walking you don't need to practice it, because you're basically practicing it the entire time. So but with and even with like bicycles, right now I do ride a bicycle, but I'm not as comfortable as I was earlier when I was a kid, because I was riding my bike so much and I was doing things with it. So I got good at it. I could do tricks and stuff. Now I can't do tricks because it's been a while, and I've been just riding it straight back and forth. Also my weight is higher, but practice is what I'm talking about. Practice is something I need to do. On my bike, it's a cruiser bike, it's a long bike. Oftentimes I see myself not being able to take a complete U-turn. I feel like I'm gonna fall off, so I have to put my feet down. I saw a whole bunch of people that were able to do it without that and were able to handle the bike a lot more. I still feel the bike is heavy for me, so that's why this is a practice session, and you should do the same. Going straight is easy on any vehicle. It doesn't even matter. You can be a short rider. Going straight is easy. It's the stopping and maneuvering that's the challenge, right? So you have to practice it. I found my weakness being especially like these sort of turns, and like doing these sort of turns, it's hard for me. So that's what I'm practicing here, and I just came to this open field, and I just came here because I was going to do 8 figure eights, and now I found something better. So there's enough gap between the poles that I can actually try and do figure eights properly. There isn't enough room on the other side, so we'll see what happens. It will be a tight corner, but that's actually a good thing. The tighter the corner, the more hard you have to work, and basically you get used to the bike. So that's what we're doing. Let me just do one round and we'll see. So as you can see, when you're taking the turn, when I'm taking a smaller, if the turning radius is not that high, I feel like, honestly I don't even know, maybe the turning radius is high for this bike. I don't really know, because on my previous bike I didn't have this issue. Like I could take a turn, yes, every now and then I did have to put my feet down, but I could take a more tighter turn. But on this bike I struggle with tighter turns. On longer turns I can do it without actually putting my feet down, but on smaller turns I'm struggling with it. I did manage to do it once. I do not know if it's a practice problem or if the bike is too long for that, because it is like it's a cruiser, so it's a lot longer than most bikes, and the what do you call it, the center of mass is also it's fairly distributed. In most bike it's like in KTM's it's like in the front, and on bullets it's like in the middle, and on these bikes it's like it's evenly mashed, unless I am too heavy, in which case the center of mass will shift to the middle. But because I am not heavy, this bike is almost like roughly 2.5 times my weight, even though I look heavy and fat, but this bike is like a lot heavier than me. Also, I'm noticing something. Actually, this is the first time, so I don't really know. Maybe I still need to practice a bit more. This terrain is not really as good. I thought I found a gem of a spot, but there's like a lot of ups and downs, and there's like you don't have enough room, so I might actually move to a different place. This seems like a good enough place. Just move it over here. But there's no reference point here, so it will be a bit weird to look at, but there you go. I wish I could find another stone. I do have a gorilla pod. I forgot that I do have it, so I didn't bring it, but we'll try to do it here, and let's see if I can do it with the. Actually, I could just do it around this place and just go round and round. Let's see if it happens. Cake cutting ceremonies because there's a whole bunch of down here. Okay, so I've been taught not to ride your bike on the first gear. You should switch to second gear as soon as possible. But one thing I just noticed is, first of all, I'm locking the it already doesn't have too much movement. My previous bike I could just do this, but on this bike it gets stuck over here. That obviously increases the turning radius, but also I've noticed you cannot actually lock it, because if you lock it, the bike starts to, whichever side you lock it on, the bike starts to like fall in that direction, because the turning angle is so sharp. Or maybe it's just me being a noob, that's also very likely. But I also noticed that if I am on the first gear, I can actually take somewhat shorter turns, like bigger turns, but I don't know how to say it, but the 8 is like this sort of a 8. On second gear I have to be a little bit bigger, so that's why. I also found like another rock up ahead. I think the rock is how many? It's like, I would say like roughly 2.5 2.2 or maybe 2 bikes. This is a distance of 2 bikes, so that's how long the distance is. I'm going to increase it because I think it's too short, and also it's not very visible. Okay, let's try again. It's a very cool scene though. Like it looks really cool. So that was in the first gear still, but I improved one thing. I let the clutch go this time. Like, I was riding the clutch, I didn't realize I was riding the clutch when I'm taking a turn. So this time I actually let go. The throttle control seems to be right. Like, I am not struggling with keeping the engine on. Like, it's not shutting down. Usually if you do not have good throttle control, what will happen is when you're taking a turn, it will stall. And I think that's happening because it's an open area, and I know even if I fall, it's like grass, so nothing will happen. If I was in traffic and there was road, I know there are consequences to me falling, so that builds up like the what do you call it, anxiety, and that's what leads to mistakes. That's why practicing is important. So I'm gonna do a few more turns. I do not know if I can record all of it because it's gonna be a very long file. So what I'll do is I'll stop this and then I'll do a time lapse, which will be a longer video, but not a longer video, but you know, more stuff in a smaller amount of time. And also I need to take a picture, so I'll do that as well. We are at the 15-minute mark. That's almost perfect. 10 more seconds left. I'm not gonna wait for 10 seconds. Okay, just 3 more seconds. And done. Alright, just did some turns and maybe 20 something, and learned something that if I try to make like tighter turns, the usually in other bikes you can go slower to make tighter turns, but with this, because the handle gets stuck over here, like it's up to here, you cannot do this on this bike because it's like this, so you're stuck. This kind of restricts the angle to a certain amount, so that's the amount it will go. So this is the issue. So there's like a minimum turning angle. On other bikes it's like almost like this, but on this bike it's like this. You have to go like this. I also tried the what do you call it, I don't know, like you go straight and then you turn, and you go straight and you go turn. So I tried that as well. It's doable, but I think with more practice I'll probably get better at it. Even with just a little bit of practice, I actually got better. There's a crazy person just singing and dancing. That's why the kids just ran away. But yeah, let's see what happens. I used to be afraid, let's just like the kids are afraid of these sort of crazy people because they behave like in an abnormal way. But I'm like grown up enough to know that this is just an abnormal behavior. So yeah, so let's see. Few more days of practice. I think maybe a week or a month of practice would be enough for me, because there's one more thing I need to practice. I'll look up more drills, but this was for today. I have never considered myself an expert rider, but I still go on longer rides. Because I'm going on longer rides, I decided maybe I should learn like some basic stuff. In India, I feel like most people just start riding. There's no like, we don't go through any training or anything like that. I know there's like some basic courses or whatever that is done in like other countries, but I feel like in most developing countries we just sit on bikes and just run. I'm pretty sure Brazil has the same thing. Mexico probably has the same thing. But yeah, we just sit on our bikes and we start moving. Most of the times you are going straight, right? You take turns, and you, even with like, if I put my feet down, I can take the shortest turn possible on this bike, but that's with my feet down. So that's it. Also, like, one thing I need to practice is slow movement, because that's something I don't struggle with it, but I feel like it would be better if I practice it and it becomes like very easy for me, that I don't even have to think about it. Because I've seen a lot of people doing something like that, and I'm like, I would never be able to do that. People riding on very tiny, like broken roads, but the tiny place, and they've managed to just maneuver over it. If I don't think about it, I can do it as well, but intentionally doing it is hard for me. So that's something. So I also, one of the main reasons I started doing is because I modified my seat for the pillion. I did not modify my own seat, but I was super tempted to lower it. So yeah, I didn't do that. Also, because I'm not heavy enough, so I don't really put as much pressure on the seat, so it doesn't get lower. Other heavier people, when they sit on it, it gets really low because they're heavy. I'm not that heavy. Also, because I'm not that heavy, the bike is like, it acts as if no one is sitting on it, because like I said, I'm like, this bike is like 2.5 times my weight, so whenever there's a bump it just pushes me up like this, literally like this. Like I would go over a bump and then the back comes up, the suspension works and the back comes up and it pushes me up. So this actually happens. If I slow down and go really slow over the things, so in order to adjust that, I can actually adjust the preload on this. You just have to pull and crank. There's a ring you can, so I can adjust the preload. If I adjust the preload, it will actually stop that from happening. I think, I don't really know, maybe it will still happen, but the travel will not be as much. Right now it's at full travel, so because it's at full travel, whenever someone sits behind me and if they are the right weight, the bike behaves like the most amazing thing in the world. But when I'm alone, then it doesn't work well. Oh yeah, one update I wanted to give about the bike is this bike has a cutoff sensor, engine cutoff sensor. When the stand is it doesn't even detect at the moment that the stand is on. Okay, now it doesn't. So when the stand is on, it's not supposed to start, and right now the stand is on. Do you see that? Do you see that? So why this happened is I got some modification done. Modification as in I put in fog lights. That's what it's called in Kolkata. If you say auxiliary light, they don't understand what that means, so I say fog lights now. So that guy, he didn't, when you're cutting wires, you should tell people this might happen, that might happen. They didn't tell me jack shit. I learned about this later on. It's not a big deal. I am in the habit of kicking the stand up because of my old bike. But if it was someone new, they would probably like struggle with this quite a bit. And in case you don't know, this is just a normal stand because it doesn't need. Activa has something that like pushes up the. I don't know if maybe not all Activa have these, but some bikes have this. Like if you are running the bike with the stand down, if it gets hit, it automatically goes up, so that it doesn't get stuck and you don't fall. But on this bike, because there's an engine cutoff sensor, that this stand is just a normal stand, so it might lead to an issue. So that's what's happening. So far I haven't really fallen. I fell like 3 times in a single week because of a certain reason. I don't know what was going on, but did not bad falls. One of the falls was literally just like this and I fell, and this happened in my house when I was backing up the bike to like go out. So that kind of shit happened. He did like the seat guy, he did like an amazing job. He just got the seat and started working on it, and he made the seat wider, and it's pretty good. Look at how the suspension, this is the maximum suspension, that's why I'm able to do this. If it was like a lower preload, I wouldn't like this wouldn't happen. Like it literally goes down and up, and I shouldn't be doing that in this way. I had this modification and it was moving. After this seat modification, this backrest stopped moving, so that's kind of nice. It got stuck like this. It used to go up and down, but now it's stuck. That's a good thing. But yeah, these auxiliary lights came in handy. I still need to what do you call it, I still need to adjust them a little bit, actually quite a bit. It seems like he put the auxiliary lights in the wrong way. The stand is supposed to be like this and the auxiliary lights go on here so that it can move like this. This idiot, what he did is he put it in such a way that it gets stuck here. Like seriously man, I am very disappointed with Kolkata. Very disappointed. Like everyone is trying to steal money from you. Like they'll sell 5 rupee items at 10 rupees if they figure out that you're not from there. I accidentally found out about this. Someone was trying to charge me 10 rupees for a 5 rupee ice cream, mentioned on the thing, by the way. So and then when you catch them, they get defensive, and it's very awkward situation. Someone was trying to give me rotten notes, literally rotting notes, like they were rotting, and they were like, oh, this is the only notes I have, and by chance I had the right currency, like right denomination, 10 rupee note, so I gave them the 10 rupee note. But yeah, and this kind of shoddy work, they don't tell you anything. They treat like this awkward behavior. I don't know what sort of behavior this is. Very odd behavior. But behavior was very odd. If you go to Karol Bagh, they're like very professional. This seat guy was actually professional. He sits on the footpath, and this guy was more professional than the people that set up the that sold me the bike, the auxiliary lights. And there's a separate guy you have to go to with the stuff you bought, and he will fix the auxiliary lights on your bike. The reason this is done is the shop guy doesn't want to mess with your bike and then you come to him, like this guy. These people, the way they talk is solely because they have to argue back quite a bit. That's the reason they are like this, because this is what they do. This is the kind of shoddy work they do. I found out about this very late, and then I couldn't go back. So, and then also, like, sometimes the auxiliary lights don't turn on. I was confused. Good thing is, during the night I didn't turn off the auxiliary lights, so they kept on running. When it became dusk, I turned it off and then turned it on, and it wouldn't turn on. Later on I found out it's because one of the wires is loose. Like, this is the kind of shoddy work they did, and it's like completely exposed. They did not do a good job. I would not say that they did a great job. Karol Bagh was significantly better. I got my auxiliary lights done from Karol Bagh Bike Market in, I don't know, 2000 something, 16 or something, and they did a flawless job. This guy was like on the street, by the way, not a shopkeeper. He bought the things for me. He did charge me 1,000 or 1,500 more. I found out about this later, but did a flawless job. I do not have any qualms about him charging me a little bit more. But the switch here they gave me is actually pretty good. It's not that, it's one of those, I do not like those on-off switches, like literal circuit board switches. I don't like them. But yeah, wow, seriously, the bike went from 4 fuel bars to 3, then to 2, and now all of a sudden it's in reserve. That's fucking amazing. This thing is completely nonsense. The fuel indicator is nonsense, and you have to keep 3 liters of fuel in the bike at all times because it's a fuel injected bike. And if the indicator doesn't give you the right information, the only option you have, at least I have, is to pull in. Every time it starts blinking, even though sometimes it shows me empty when there's like literally, I don't know, 6 to 7 liters of fuel in there, and I tell the guy put in 1,000 rupees, which is 10 liters, and there's no room for 10 liters. This happened to me earlier, and I was able to put 700. By chance I had 700 in cash, and I do not at the moment use UPI and stuff for a reason. We'll discuss it at some point if it's relevant. At this point it's not relevant. All right, I think that's it for today's video. We'll practice, we'll do more videos like this, and let's see if you guys have any tips. Do let me know. Like, I want to practice. I will look up more drills for like getting more comfortable with the bike. I'm not going to Leh Ladakh. I absolutely learned the second trip or third trip I learned that I am not ready for it. There's a lot of things I don't want to talk about there because it will make people like, oh my god, that sort of a reaction. I don't want that reaction. Let me see if I can reset it. Can you reset this? They messed up my time and all that, but I can fix that. It's written in the manual how to do it. Let's reset all the trips. I've done like a total of 14,000 on this bike. All right, let's go. Bye for now. Have a good day. And if you also ride bikes, please do practice it. In India, I do realize that a lot of people don't realize that you have to practice riding, because a lot of people have really good skill because they've just been riding since they were like 13 or 14. That was not the case for me. But yeah, if you feel like you know if you are good or not. So I felt like I was not good at turning, so I started practicing it, and I'll continue practicing. Even if I get good at it, I'll keep practicing. I was doing simple figure eights, and then I modified it a little bit, but simple figure eights are more than enough. And yeah, keep practicing. When you go on long rides, please prepare. I am not as prepared, but I'm still prepared. Like, I carry stuff with me. So yeah, I'm not an expert, so don't take my don't argue back with me. You don't know shit. I'm saying it myself. I don't know shit. I am saying all the things that I learned from experience. That's it. I'm not an expert. I do not read about this and all that. So yeah, I'm obviously not an expert. Yeah, I think that's it. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye. This is Avik signing off. I know I didn't introduce myself in the first video, so if anyone random joins in, he'll be like, who the fuck are you? What's your name? So if you made it so far, thank you for watching the entire video. And my name is Avik. I'll be seeing you later. Bye bye.